Hello, CS1030 class, and welcome to our first ever programming tutorial. I wish we were doing this together in class, but things are what they are, so we'll plug away this way. This will be the first of at least 3, if not 4 or 5 programming tutorials. Hopefully my computer has good quality and you can follow along pretty good. The first thing you're going to need to do as we get going is go to repl.it, repl.it. Some of you have had my classes before and you've already used this, you already have an account. You can skip forward a minute or two in the video till we get to the actual Java stuff. Those of you who don't have an account, it's really easy to get. You can click sign up. I would recommend you don't do that. Instead, just click the login button over here. That's whether or not you have a login yet with them or not. Just click login and then click the Google button. And you can log in with your Google account. So click that and it will log you right in. You will probably have to set up some stuff and go through some stuff. They're going to ask you a few questions. That's really annoying. Just get through it as best you can. But once you're to your home screen, it will look something like this, but it will be different because I have REPLs down here that that you will obviously not have. So once you get here, you want to click plus new REPL up here, and that will create a new program. And then it will ask you what language. You're going to want to scroll down this list and find Java. They pretty much have every language in the world right here in no particular order. Make sure you do not click JavaScript. Do not click that. That's a completely different programming language. You want Java with the mug right here, Java with the mug. Once you've clicked that, then it's going to ask you for a name. Do me a favor and name the file after yourself. I already have a file with Kevin Lambert, so I'm going to name it Kevin Lambert 1030. And if you name the file after yourself, when you go to share the file, I can know who you are. If you don't name the file after yourself, I have no way of knowing who you are. And I'm just going to give Autumn credit for your work because, you know, she's awesome. So Autumn, don't bet on that, okay? So make sure your name goes right here. And then you can write 1030 if you want. And then you're going to click Create REPL. And it is going to take you to what is called an IDE. That stands for an Integrated Developers Environment. It is a program that helps you write computer programs. It is very helpful. Some IDEs are better than IDEs. REPL is free, but it does a pretty good job. Most IDEs are going to make the commands blue. So whatever's in blue is a command, also called a reserved word. That is telling the program to actually do something. And then it makes strings red. Strings are any set of words that the computer needs to remember, so you put them in quotation marks like so. If your entire program is red, it means you didn't close a string somewhere. It means you didn't put an ending quotation mark on something. So this is your IDE. It's very helpful. REPL has also done us a big favor in that it's given us the first 2 lines of code. When you write code in Java, the first line needs to be the name of the class. In Java, the program or the file is named class. So you see here, the class's name is main with a capital M. Notice it's not main with a lowercase m down here. Computer programming languages are case sensitive. They pay attention to uppercase and lowercase. If it's lowercase, it will treat it as something completely different. So notice this is main with a capital M, and this is main over here. If we were to change this name, it would change this name and vice versa. So that is just naming your file. So we're saying this program, this file is named main. That is the class name. And then we open up a block of code. In Java, you section off blocks of code with these curly marks. The reason we use curly marks, and I kid you not, is in the early days of computer programming, the computer programmers looked at the keyboard and they said, which of these keys here does nobody ever use? And the answer to that question was the curly brackets. Nobody ever uses those. I bet you have never seen those in print before, at least when you're reading a book. Maybe you have. Maybe there's a special case where you have. So they decided, let's take the least used amount on the keyboard and make it the most important key in the computer program. So this blocks off blocks of code, which helps the computer understand the argument of the code. Notice we have 2 blocks here. We have a block within a block. This is blocking off the class, and it ends right here. Notice it highlights both of them. This is blocking off the arguments. That's what arg stands for here. So this is blocking off the arguments of the class. So that's the first line, name your class, start a block of code. The second line starts with public static void. Those are attributes of the class. I'll be honest with you, I'm not even entirely sure what they do. I know they're important, and I know you can put other words there that are as equally important. I know public makes it available to other files to access and change. Static, I think, means it's not going to change too much. No other programs are going to change this or something like that. I have no idea what void means, but they're basically defining the way the computer reads this file, this class. And then here we are saying that the main arguments are going to be as strings, which means we're going to give the computer words, and the computer is going to interpret those into the machine code, the machine plans. And so that's what we're saying here. We start a new block of code. Also of note here is that most computer programs are not, they don't pay attention to enters and spaces. So right here we have 5 different lines of code, but we can actually all put that on line 1. So if I delete all the enters here, yeah, okay, we want to leave the parenthesis, and we just do it that, it should run just the same. As if we had it on 5 different lines of code. So you can actually write a whole program on 1 line of code, and it will read it just the same as if it's divided up. However, we do divide it up so that we can see where the blocks are. Because if we can't see where they are, it's not going to help us program at all. So we divide it up into lines to help us keep track of where our sections are. So then our third line here is a basic print function. You see I already ran it and it printed hello world down here. Every computer language has a print function, which basically tells the program to print something out to the user. Right now we have what's called a console down here. This is called the console. So print prints out to the console hello world. So right here, this says print out to the system on its own line. That's what the ln means, hello world. Let me show you real quick what happens if we don't have the print line. So we're going to have the computer say, how are you? And then we're going to outprint me. I'm fine. I'm good. I think we've probably done this before in class when we were doing HTML. So now when I hit play, the how are you and me, I'm good are all going to be on the same line, and hello world gets its own line. You guys see how that happened there? So notice it didn't even put a space between them. If we wanted it to, we would have had to start that with a space or ended this with a space or both. But if we add ln and ln, hit play, now those 3 commands will get their own line. So that's the print function. It basically prints things out to the user. Kind of fun to toy around with. We're going to delete these 2 lines of code. And now that I've given you the basic introduction to IDEs, we can talk about the 4 things that make computer programming work with a possible 5th. Today we're just going to cover 1 of them from here on out, but let me talk you through the 4 things that make a program work. Don't type this into REPL. I'm just typing this so you have it in front of you. You have your notes. The first thing, and what we're going to talk about today, is variables. A variable is anything that needs to be saved or is going to vary. So the variables are the building blocks of computer programming. That is where you save data to memory, and it's anything that is going to change as the program runs. We'll talk more through those in a little bit. Our next lesson, we're going to talk about loops. A loop is a set of commands, that is going to run more than once in a row. And so a loop is any set of commands that's going to just loop through and keep doing the same thing over and over again. Those of you who play video games, every video game is built off what's called a main loop. It runs the same set of commands over and over and over again, and it just takes what the user does and it inserts that into it and comes up with different results. So most programs come up with a main loop. The next thing you need to know is a conditional branch, which is a set of commands that only runs if a condition is met. Notice here it turned if blue because if is the command that starts a conditional branch. It's a reserved word, so notice that. And then the last thing you need to know is object-oriented programming. And you also need to know functions. Functions is just giving a name to a set of commands is all that is. And object-oriented programming, we're not going to cover in this class. If you take my computer programming class, we will. So it's where computer programming gets a little bit more complicated. But these are the things you need to know to be a good computer programmer. They're really not hard once you understand them, and life can get kind of a lot of fun once you get them. You're off and going. So today we're going to talk about variables. Anything that needs to be saved or is going to vary is a variable. How you do a variable is really simple. You just declare it. You just say, I declare a variable. No, you just give it a name, and then you tell what is going to go in that storage spot, and then you save that storage to it. So this is where data types come in. I'm making available a worksheet to you about data types, and you can look at that worksheet where it maps everything out. I'm going to talk through them very, very briefly, but you have to tell the variable how much space is going to be stored in that spot, the variable that you're naming, and you need to tell it what is going to go there. If it's a number that's going to go in there, or does it need to run it through the ASCII decoder circuit and put symbols and letters and characters there? Is it a true-false statement? What is going to go there? So if it's a number, you say integer. And how you declare an integer is a whole number. It saves 8 bytes in your machine, which means that you can save a number to that spot that is somewhere between negative 2.1 and positive 2.1 million. So it could save a rather large number. And so right now I'm going to say integer. I'm going to name it integer, and I'm just going to say equals 3,476, semicolon. I've just declared an integer. It's a whole number, no decimal points, and it's between negative 2.1 and positive 2.1 million. If the number that's going to go in this variable is bigger than that, then I need to do what's called a long number. And I'm going to name it longer. And that might equal 3,456,1234. That can save up to 9 quintillion numbers. And so that can save a number that goes from negative 9 quintillion to positive 9 quintillion. Any number you want to put can go there. That's a long. You also have a short. If we know that the number we're going to put here is less than 32,000, then we can use short. It saves only 4 bytes of information to save this in, so we'll name it shorter, and we can save up to 32,767 there. That's the largest number we can save there. So that's short. Once again, I'm giving you guys a cheat sheet. You can look at that. That's why I'm flying through these. And then you can also do a byte. And that's just 1 byte of information, so it gets you between negative 128 and a positive 128. And so if I'm going to save just a single digit number there, I'm going to name it bits, and I'm going to name it 4 if I saved a 4 there. So those are the numerical ones. If I want to save a decimal point, I have to use what's called a float, which floats the number out. And so I'm going to say pi is 3.14159. With float, I can go up to 7 significant digits. With long, I can go up to 15 significant digits. So here I can have 3.141592571. I've gone out of pi yet, but I can go up to 15 with long. So when you name a variable, you need to think very hard about what type of data, what's the biggest number, the smallest number that's going to go in this spot, because that affects how much computer space you're saving. So you don't want to save 8 whole bytes for a 1-digit number. You really just want to save 1 byte for that. Really, ideally, you just want to save 1 bit for that, but you don't want to save a ton of information there. If the number can go up to 9 quintillion, use a long. If it's not going to go above 32,000, then use a short. So those are numbers and decimals. The other thing you can do is you can save 1 character. That's just you just save an A, or you save an F, or you save a Z, or you can save a string. String are its own thing. Right up here, you notice we said our main arguments are with strings. Strings need to be capitalized. Notice it doesn't make it blue because it's just its own special data type, and that means you're going to save words in this variable, and it's going to be any amount of characters, any amount. You can save a whole paragraph to a string if you want. So we're going to save a string, and we're going to name him Stringy. That's his name, and he's going to say, hi, my name is Stringy. There we go. Right there, that is a string. We're going to use stringy here in a little bit, but you do need to know one more data type, and that's a Boolean. A Boolean saves 1 byte. It really doesn't even need 1 byte. It really just is 1 digit, and it's anything that's going to be true or false. So it's anything that's binary, anything that's on or off, true, false, 0, 1 can be saved as Boolean, and you just type true or false. So right now we have a variable. It's a string. Its name is stringy, and what is saved there is hi, my name is stringy. So now we're going to go back to our print function, and we're going to get our system to print stringy right there. So I'm pretty sure I did that correctly. And it should print, hi, my name is stringy, if it's going to work. If it's not going to work, there we go. It did work. Glorious. You always are happy in computer programming when it works for the first time. It says, hi, my name is stringy. Right there. So it found what was saved to stringy, and it printed it out right there. Notice what happens if we should change this to a capital S. It's going to give us an error. Because in a computer, lowercase is something completely different than uppercase. So if I change this to uppercase stringy, now it will come back and it will work. The next thing I want to teach you is that you can actually add variables together. So we're going to save a new string, and we're going to call it stringy condition. Note, when you are naming variables, you cannot have spaces. That right there will give us an error. It has to be one word. There's 2 things you can do. One is you can separate words with an underscore. That gets kind of tedious. Or you could just capitalize the first letters. So we can say stringy condition. That's the condition stringy is in. And we're going to say I am well. So then down here, we are going to get it to print stringy plus stringy condition. Now when we hit play, it will say, hi, my name is stringy, I am well. Or it's not going to do that because I forgot to put a semicolon. Always make sure you end your lines with a semicolon. Getting errors is just part of computer programming, by the way. It's why you should hit this button right here often. But you see it's stringy I is one word. How we want to fix that is we can actually put a space saved as a string in between it. And now it will put a space there. So that's kind of cool. That's called concatenation when you're adding strings together. It's really fun to do. See how he's there, all on that line. Hi, my name is stringy, I am well. So we can do that. We can also add variables together and save them as another variable. So let me show you how to do that. So we're going to save an integer. We're going to name it shorty, and we're going to say it's 4. And then we're going to save another integer, and we're going to name him longy, and he's going to equal 13. Remember, we need semicolons. And then down here, we are going to save a new variable, but this time we're going to name it sum. This time we're not going to say a number, we're just going to say shorty plus longy. And then we're going to print it out. So we're going to do system.out.println, and we're going to say print out sum, like that. So now when we play it, after it says hello world, it should print out 17. Let's cross our fingers and hope, hey, it did it. So we can actually save variables to other variables. We can also subtract shorty minus longy. We might get an error there because we're going to a negative number, but we'll see if it works. Hey, -9. So I think we can also multiply them. So wait for it. Yep, 52. So you can save a variable as the product of any other variable. Kind of a fun thing. So variables are your building blocks for computer programming. They're really fun to play around with and to print out. If you've been following along with this program, do me a favor and just send me, that's the last thing I need to teach you how to do is share something. Share your file with me. I want you to name at least a few data types up here. And then add them together, do some concatenation down here. I'll give you more instructions in the write-up of this video, and this will be your participation points for the week. So once you have it done, how you share it is you just click the little share icon, and then it says share link. You just click there, you right-click and copy. Then you go to your email inbox and just send me that link and tell me how you enjoyed it. So that'll be your participation points for this week. Once again, sorry we couldn't be together. Hopefully you learned some things and had a lot of fun with that video. See you next time.